Hey guys, it is me, your friendly neighbourhood ginger, and I'm just making a quick YouTube video because there's some really interesting Bond-related news that is also related to books, and it's like, hey, it's me, I like James Bond, and I like books, and it's like, smush, perfect. So, today, the Ian Fleming Foundation, who own the copyright to James Bond and the James Bond intellectual properties from a literary point of view, announced 3 new Bond books coming up, except they're not really Bond books. They're called the Double O Trilogy, and they are about other agents in the British Secret Service in the Double O section who have a series of adventures because James Bond Agent 007 is missing. And it's an interesting premise for a series of novels. It's kind of unusual for the Ian Fleming Foundation because, like Eon, they tend not to jump into spin-offs and they tend not to sort of squeeze their intellectual property too much. They normally have a pretty structured run of one book a year by one particular established author. For the last few books, it's been Anthony Horowitz. So this is unusual, and I think it's kind of interesting as well because I like the premise of it. The other thing I found really interesting about it, though, is the choice of author for this trilogy. She's called Kim Sherwood, and I didn't know anything about Kim Sherwood at all. And that's not just because I'm an ignoramus. She is a fairly new person on the block. She is best known for her debut novel, which is called Testament, which is... Now, I have to confess, I have not read Testament, so all I can... at this point, but I will. It's about this young lady who loses her grandfather, and then through her grief she discovers a testament that her grandfather wrote that was kept in Berlin about his experiences in the Holocaust, and to her it helps her discover an entire new life that her beloved grandfather had because he reinvented himself after the war. And it has been raved about, and if you go to Amazon and look through reviews and things, people absolutely love it. And I think it is very unusual to hand the reins for something that is so publicly visible as an intellectual property like James Bond to a writer who's only actually published one novel before. But then again, I don't think that it's necessarily that weird a choice for the Ian Fleming Foundation to go with in terms of the type of writer she is. When Raymond Benson finished writing the James Bond continuation novels, they chose Sebastian Faulks, who wrote Birdsong. So there is a tendency towards, like, the first choice, the first instinct being a literary author. And now they've moved on. Obviously, they've got Anthony Horowitz doing it, and I would classify Anthony Horowitz more as a genre author because he writes genre books. And to be honest, I think that's more where James Bond, the traditional James Bond, lies. So I think Anthony Horowitz, I reviewed one of his books, Forever and a Day. I think he's a very strong author, and I think he handles the James Bond property very, very well. So from that point of view, it is different to go for a younger, quite fresh author, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about the choice of going for someone who is like literature, because I'm not really into literature. I think books are books, and there's this really weird hypocrisy about what is genre fiction and what is literary fiction. And to my mind, genre fiction and literary fiction, the main difference is genre fiction sells books, and literature fiction people write articles about and things like that. So I mean, if you go and look at Testament on Amazon, for example, there are 34 reviews, I think, which is quite interesting. I mean, if as a self-published author, if I was like at a party and I met Kim Sherwood, she's like, oh, I'm a writer. It's like, oh, I'm a writer too. And then went home and looked that up on Amazon. I'd be like, oh, she's written a book. Oh, she's got 34 reviews. That's kind of nice. But I wouldn't think anything of it. And I don't know. It makes me feel kind of uncomfortable, the fact that there's an author without such an established track record doing this. But then again, this wouldn't exist without her. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm criticising the choice of Kim Sherwood, and I'm definitely not trying to come across as being sexist or anything like that. It's not a case of like, I think a man should write that. I think actually it's probably a brilliant idea for a woman to write this, especially if it's going to be about other 00 agents, because I think it's going to have such a bold new perspective. And I think, you know, women have a 50% stake in the James Bond fandom, and you know, among the Bond community that I hang out with, there are some really, really amazing female voices. Dr. Lisa Funnell is brilliant. She writes and edits these incredible pieces about James Bond through the lens of feminism. So, yeah, I think that it's a great idea to bring more female energy into James Bond and the world of James Bond. And I think No Time to Die, some of the strongest aspects of that were the fact that, you know, we were actually talking about female characters written and presented in an entirely unique way for a James Bond movie. So I don't have any hesitation about that. But yeah, it leaves me cautious. The fact that that Testament is such a literary book, and if you read through the reviews and things, and this is why I really, really want to read Testament now to find out for myself, because you should never have an opinion about a book unless you've read it. But a lot of the reviews go on about how she's not succinct as an author. A lot of people describe her writing as poetic, which I really, really like the sound of, and that she uses, you know, metaphors and similes and things, which Ian Fleming did really, really effectively. But people say she is not succinct in her writing, whereas Ian Fleming as a writer was just like super, super economical with his use of words. But then again, she doesn't need to be Ian Fleming. I mean, that's one of the wonderful things about James Bond as a character, as a figure, as an icon. You can have so many different takes on the same property, just like, you know, when you make a movie about Batman, you know, you've got the Michael Keaton version, you've got the Christian Bale version, you've got the Ben Affleck version, you've now got the Robin Pattinson version. I mean, there are different ways and different takes to approach the same character in the same world of that character. So, I don't know. All I can say is I am really, really excited to read these books. I hope that Kim Sherwood does a fantastic job. I'm very confident she will. And I'm going to read Testament, and hopefully I'll make a review video about Testament, because I think it's worth reading. But yeah, I wish her the best of luck with what she's doing, and I think it's worth remembering not to take criticism or even skepticism. Like, I have to admit, I sound kind of skeptical. Don't take that on board, and don't let that like be the message and the thing going forward. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to expand the world of James Bond through writing these books. And yeah, so Kim Sherwood has a huge, huge responsibility ahead of her. She's carrying a big, big burden, but I'm sure her shoulders are going to be wide enough, and I'm sure she's going to do a fantastic job. But you better believe we are all super, super stoked to read these books and see more of this world that we absolutely love and adore. Anyway, that's it for me. A very short video. Yeah, I'll catch up with you guys later. Ciao. Thanks so much for watching that video. Don't forget, I've sold nearly 67,000 copies of my novels, so if you want to find out a bit more about that, don't forget to click the subscribe button.